So in this video, we're going to be looking at SOHCAHTOA. Now, this topic is actually called trigonometry. These phrases are there to help us remember some formulas for trigonometry. So here we have some formulas. Now, you might be thinking, what does O, A, and H mean? Okay, so O is for opposite, A refers to adjacent, and H refers to hypotenuse. And in each formula, you may see a letter which looks like this. And that just means theta, referring to the angle. So the first formula, we have sine theta equals O over H, which is basically sine theta, referring to the angle, equals O referring to opposite, over H referring to hypotenuse. And the word SO is there to help us remember that formula. S, of course, for the sine, O for the opposite, and H for the hypotenuse. The next formula we've got cos theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse, A over H. And CA is there to help us remember that, C for the cos, and A and H for adjacent and hypotenuse. And the last formula we've got tan theta equals opposite over adjacent, and TOA is there to help us remember that formula. Before we continue, I do advise you to memorize these formulas. So I'll give you a moment to memorize them, and I'm going to give you a little test straight after. So just take 5 minutes, pause the video, and memorize these formulas. So my first question, which formula has O and H in it? And you should have said the sine formula. And that is sine theta, remember referring to the angle, equals O over H, short for opposite over hypotenuse. The next one we have A and O. A for adjacent, O for opposite. And TOA is the one we're looking for, the tan formula. And that is tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. And the last one, we have H and A. Which formula has H and A? H for hypotenuse, A for adjacent. And the trigger word should have been CAH, C-A-H, referring to the cos formula. And that's written as cos theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So let's go on and see what all of this means. Trigonometry helps us solve angles and sides of right angle triangles. It only works for right angle triangles. Okay, so the first thing we need to know is how to label our triangle. So here we've got a right angle triangle, and we've got an extra angle labeled theta. So the side opposite theta will be our opposite. I'll just write O for short. The longer side opposite the right angle will be our hypotenuse. We'll just write H for short. And the remaining side will of course be the adjacent. So that's how we label our triangle. Now let's go ahead and see where we might use it in a question. So there's two scenarios you can use it. If you have a side and an angle, you can work out another side. Or if you have a side and a side, you can work out an angle. Okay, so here we've got a question and it wants us to work out x, which is a side. Okay, so what's involved here? We've got two sides and an angle. And we know a side and we know an angle, and we're trying to work out a side. So it's our first scenario. So the first thing we're going to do is label it up. Opposite the angle, we have the opposite. And the longer side, opposite the right angle, is the hypotenuse. And the remaining side is adjacent. So what's involved? Well, we're trying to work out the opposite, so that's certainly involved. And we know the hypotenuse, so that's also involved. It's O and H. Now, which one of our SOHCAH and TOA has O and H in it? And you should have said sine. So let's write out the SOH for SO. So let's go ahead and fill it in. Sine, and the angle will be 30. So here we filled it in, and we need to work out x, so I need to get rid of that 5. And it's straightforward, just multiply both sides by 5. So here I've multiplied both sides by 5, and I've got 5 sine 30 equals x. Now 5 sine 30 is something you're just going to throw in your calculator, and you get x equals 2.5. I hope you found that video useful. Support us by liking, subscribing, and share this with your friends. And if you still got some more questions on anything, drop a post on our forum at examqa.com where you'll find your questions answered.